Have you ever wondered which dungeons in Majora's Mask are the hardest to speedrun? Yes? Wait, really? Well, on my live stream, I ran through every single dungeon and threw them on a tier list, and if you don't know, this is actually a part 2. In my first part, I did Ocarina of Time, which you should go check out, by the way. The rules are going to be the same, where I start with every single item, so without further ado, let's get started. First up is Woodfall, and because it's the first temple of the game, we aren't supposed to have every single item like we do here, so I can just hookshot my way through each and every single part, skipping a lot of the dungeons just to get to this room. Once we're here, we're going to do what's called a bomb hover, which using ISG will let us hover to the height of the pillar. Then we are going to transform into Zora, which allows us to ledge grab. Then with Zora, we're going to do a frame perfect clip into the pillar, and luckily there's a platform here. Afterwards, do a series of mega flips and mega side hops. Then we're going to get into this out of bounds load zone. And as for the boss, this boss is actually fairly easy. Sometimes if you don't spin fast enough, he'll get away, but aside from that, all it is spin to win. Then we're on to the next. Real quick spoiler warning, if you haven't already seen the Ocarina of Time tier list, go check it out. I'm going to be using the same tier list for both games, just simply because of all their similarities. Anyways, for Woodfall Temple, I'm going to be putting it into S tier. There's so much that can go wrong. Mega flips are really hard to get the hang of, and I'd say it's just as hard as Spirit Temple. I almost put it into S+, but honestly the boss fight is just way too easy for me to even think about it there. So I settled on S. Next, we got a Snowhead. And holy moly, it's a lot. Straight out the gate, instead of transforming and pushing the block, we do this quick clip while also getting a trick called Action Swap, which basically will allow you to shoot a fire arrow out of your stick. Then we enter this main room where we're going to do a trick called Scarecrow Skip, which is a very precise hookshot to get us up to this ledge, where we're going to do another trick called Hookshot Jump, which essentially, by drinking this milk, it'll throw us all the way up in the air. Then we are going to use a bomb shoe to recoil us all the way to this ledge. Once we're here, we're going to recoil flip into the boss room and then the boss fight. Now for this boss fight, we're going to get this precise angle and shoot him with a bunch of arrows while at the same time dodging the lightning blast, which seems kind of easy, but if you mess up the angle, it'll lead to a crazy amount of time loss. Very, very inconvenient. But aside from that, we're all done. Next is Snowhead. And I'm going to have to put this one into S tier as well. The hookshot jump timing is kind of tricky. Some frame perfect tricks have to be done. And honestly, the boss fight is pretty easy to mess up. And now we have by far the easiest dungeon, which is Great Bay Temple. We're going to clip into the ground using a bomb and this torch while in Zora mode, then line up an angle and do another recoil flip, and well, that's it. We're in the boss room. All this is done from the starting room, so it's very, very quick. And as for the boss, all we do is fire an arrow, then Zora shield the fish, twice, and then we're done. And like I mentioned, this is the easiest dungeon in Majora's Mask by a long shot. I almost put it into B tier, but I'm going to put it in A tier. It's very close, but I just think it's so much harder than Forest Temple and Jabu Jabu. But then again, the boss fight is also very easy to do, so I just settled on A. And now we are back to a hard dungeon, which is the final dungeon, Inverted Stone Tower Temple. First, we're going to do a bomb boost to a ledge grab, skipping most of the dungeon. Once in this room, we're jump slashing on this ledge, and then we're going to do our first mega flip, which will allow us to get directly underneath this wall so we can clip through the wall properly. It's pretty close to frame perfect, but then we do a bunch more mega flips, and for the last time, we are in the boss room. For the last boss, this has to be the hardest boss we have. We could use Giant's Mask, but that's way too slow. And too easy. We're gonna use arrows to snipe this annoying hitbox, which if you don't know, the hitbox actually isn't the same size as the tail, which is incredibly annoying, but it is what it is. We're gonna do all of that while Twin Mold is moving around, trying to hit you. Also seems like he's trying to block your shots. And if you run out of arrows, it is very difficult to go and get more arrows. So all in all, this is a very difficult boss fight. But after you kill him, we are done with the bosses. And lastly, for this tier list, it only seems fitting that this temple is going into S+. It is equally as hard as Woodfall in terms of the boss key skip, but fighting Twin Mold with Arrow is easily the hardest boss fight compared to everything else on this list. So for that reason, it's going into S+. And that concludes the tier list. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching, and if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out my Twitch channel, where I stream these exact same challenges. And as for the dungeons tier list, I do want to continue this as a series, and up next would have to be Wind Waker. But don't expect that anytime soon, because I suck at that game. But regardless, stay on the lookout for that, and as always, have a great rest of your day.